Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Future Forward Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Lynn, and today I'm joined by our wonderful guest, Pamela Heath. And today, what a conversation we have in store for you. We're going to talk about how to say yes to life and take a step towards a thriving business. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Pam. She is a certified life coach and business strategist. She works with women entrepreneurs who hire her to expand their business and get more clients and make more money than they ever have. Pam helps them build and brand themselves and leverage their unique brand to attract their ideal clients. And she also helps them eliminate their limiting beliefs, which are the obstacles to their growth and success. Pam is the yes coach, and she teaches her clients to say yes to life. Pam, I am so thrilled to have you here today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. I can't wait to play with you in the fields of the Lord.
All right. Well, here we are. And for those of you who are joining us for the very first time, I don't want you to miss a single episode. So take this moment right now to subscribe to Future Forward Sales wherever you get your podcasts. And hey, while you're there, we would so much appreciate it if you would give us a 5-star review. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So, Pam, let's get right into this. So, I gave a brief intro. So, I think our audience is going to want to know more about who you are and what you do.
Well, I call myself the yes coach because I'm one of life's little happy campers. I'm very positive and I'm kind of contagious. When I come around, people get positive around me. And I've been like that all my life. I'm that way by nature. And I've made a living out of teaching people to generate it by design. So, I have a zero to hero story. I actually had a great deal of success at one point in my life. I was married, living in the house of my dreams, driving the car of my dreams with a man I was married to for 26 years, and I also had a boyfriend on the side. So I was living life large. And then the unthinkable happened. It was a tragedy that I'd not been prepared for, and it blindsided me. My oldest child, my beloved daughter, committed suicide. And when that happened, it began a spiral of downhill negative energy, and my happiness and my glory and my being somebody who always generated positivity was not to be found. And because I was not being someone who can be counted on at work, I was like a zombie. I wouldn't even show up most of the time. My job that I had had for 17 years let me go. And when they let me go, I couldn't pay my mortgage. So I lost the house to foreclosure. I lost the house, and then my car was repossessed. My husband of 26 years died suddenly of complications from undiagnosed diabetes, and I found myself alone on the streets and I was homeless. I ended up living in my son's minivan because I didn't even have a car to live in. And in that moment, when I found myself on the streets homeless, I wanted to give up. I didn't want to go on. To me, it just seemed like the rug had been pulled under from under me. Something I had done, or some way I had created a context where I could no longer be happy and I could no longer have possessions. So I thought to myself that I just wanted to go wherever it is my daughter went. And I really believed that for months. I just lived on the streets until one day something happened. And I'll tell you what happened because it's really amazing. But what happened was someone attacked me. There
Oh,
was a man who was watching me, and I could feel that someone was watching me. And I'd come out and look around, but from whatever vantage point that he was observing my every move, I couldn't see him. But for 2 or 3 days, I knew I was being watched. And then one morning, I didn't expect it, but he made his move. And he came creeping up behind me, but I sensed there was someone behind me. And he put his arms on me violently, and he grabbed me and turned me around. And the moment he did, there were two things I realized. And I was crystal clear in that moment with that attacker that I wanted to live.
yeah.
And when I realized that, I flew into action like a Tasmanian devil. I struck and shook and screamed and kicked and pushed, and out of startlement, he fell to the ground. And while he was down there, I jumped in my car, locked the doors, and he ultimately could not get in and he ran away. And right after he ran away, I recognized the second thing that altered and transformed my life. Not only was I crystal clear that I wanted to live, but I was crystal clear I didn't want to live like this. And so from that moment, I began to create my new life. I reinvented myself and I said, well, I need a job. And I was in my mid 50s. So walking into any place at that point was not going to be an easy thing for me to get a job. So I said to myself, I need to create a job for myself where I'm the boss. So I created a coaching company and I started reaching out to people that I knew and letting them know that I was a coach and did they have any need for coaching in their business? And one of my friends said yes. So I came into his company, started coaching his team. They became more productive. And I called my coaching, you guessed it, yes, coaching. And he told his friend, and his friend hired me. And she told her friend, and her friend hired me. And client by client, step by step, dollar by dollar, I became a six-figure coaching company. And the very first 8 months of my company, the people I was coaching had no idea that they were being coached by a woman who was living in her car. And I went on to get a two-bedroom condo in the valley. I'm living life large again. And the thing that I got really clear about is that I had a blueprint for success. So in 2020, I wrote a best-selling book on Amazon, became a bestseller in the United States and Canada. And that book is called Say Yes, 7 Steps to the Life of Your Dreams. And that's my zero to hero story. Essentially, I have the blueprint to happiness, and I know exactly what needs to be done to take yourself from virtually nothing to success, wildly effective coaching, and the power in the face of any circumstance. I dare you to match mine. You can do it. If I could, anybody can. And that's pretty much the Yes Coach's story.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow, that was a roller coaster and the end on this incredible high note. Thank you so much, Pam. Wow, I'm inspired just from listening to it. And yet we've known each other for months now. We're getting ready for this major event at the end of the month, and I had not heard your zero to hero story or heroine, right? So, when you're working with your coaches and they're just tapping into that saying yes, what's the biggest challenge that they face?
So the biggest challenge that I interact with my clients is fear. They
Okay.
deal with their own insecurities about their ability to coach another human being. I work mostly with entrepreneurs who are either coaches or they're service providers. They provide a service that they generate from their skill set. I very rarely in my career, though I've had a few of entrepreneurs who sell a product like a widget or this or that. I usually deal with people who have a certain skill set that they promote or market. It has very much to do with their ability to provide something for another human being. Inside of that, you're dealing with the imposter syndrome. You're dealing with their own concerns about their value or their worth and how much they should charge. And the thing that I bring to the party is I bring clarity. One of the
Yeah.
things that I found, because it happened to me twice, I built this six-figure business and then COVID hit and all of my clients went away because they're all
Oh,
self-employed and they're all in trouble. And COVID hit like a 10-ton brick, and everybody had to revamp and reinvent and pivot to something else. And I had to pivot. I had one client that stayed with me, and together she and I struggled to make ends meet while we figured out what we are going to do next. And what I ended up doing next is I turned to virtual. I now hold virtual events, and I do the same thing that I did when I reinvented myself to create myself as a coach. I created myself as a speaker. So now I speak virtually on digital stages and I'm back in business again. And I'm making more money than I did when I was live. It's amazing because the blueprint, I just prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that it works. So I teach my clients to let go of their insecurities and their limiting beliefs and create the context for their career and their business inside of design versus just being a leaf in the wind and knowing where they go by default.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's just incredible. And the answer that you really covered a lot of ground there and answered my curiosity, and hopefully our listeners as well, because one of the things that you really touched on is why this is more urgent than ever at this point, especially when it comes to facing our own insecurities, those fears, and how they can be rooted so deep, and why it's so crucial to actually recognize them and move forward. And of course, many individuals suffer some form of imposter syndrome, whether it's full I should say full blown. There, I got it out, full blown, or it's just you know whatever form it manifests itself in. So that is also wonderful. I mean, to get that under management and control and be able to move past it is so incredible. So let's talk a little bit about the challenges that we've talked about here, the insecurities, the fear, self-limiting beliefs, imposter syndrome, and how does this challenge or these challenges cost your clients their ultimate goal?
Well, it gets in the way because one of the first things you'll realize is that your confidence in your skills, it was powered to your clients to believe in you and trust themselves. So by being powerful and being bold, you're giving them permission to do the same. So if you're second guessing yourself, they'll second guess themselves. So it's kind of like fake it till you make it. I don't like to use that phrase because it lands like inauthentic, but the
Right.
reality is, it's kind of like when my son is 33, he has a 9-year-old daughter of his own. When he was 6 years old, we had an earthquake here in Los Angeles, and I happened to be working graveyard shift at a law firm at that time, and I often would bring him with me, and they were aware that I would bring my son. I didn't have to hire a babysitter because he would sleep from graveyard shift. He was asleep. Well, when the earthquake hit, at that age, he didn't know what it was. And
Yeah.
so when the building started to shake, and I was working in Century City, which was
Yeah.
built after the large earthquake on ball bearings. So the building swayed because they
Yeah.
determined that if they could build a building that would give like that, it wouldn't fall apart. So we were like on the Buccaneer ride at Magic Mountain. It was just swaying back and forth. Really, I mean, it was insane. And my son turned to look at me and stared at me like, should I be scared? And I remember that feeling that I got to show him how to react to this, because this is not, he doesn't know what this is. And he doesn't know, are we having
Yeah.
fun or is this deadly or
Yeah.
should I be crying now or what? So in that moment, I recognize that anything I do, he's going to decide about how to feel about this. So I pretended it was all a game. Oh, yay! This is the day they're going to play this game with us. So let's go over here to the doorway. We're going to stand in the doorway. And everything I did with him, I pretended it was a game. And he was like, oh, okay. And that's how his relationship to that earthquake was to this day. And when people are scared of earthquakes, it's like, but isn't it fun?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like, I taught him that it's all a big game. So
Yeah.
the same thing for you. If you're with your clients and you're being insecure and they're picking up on that, they'll be insecure. And you
Yeah.
wanna you wanna be bold, you wanna be confident, and you wanna be clear that you have what it takes for them to take themselves to the next level. And if you do
Yeah.
that, they will do what you ask.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm a real believer in that practice. It's not that practice makes perfect, because perfection is overrated, but when you practice, you become more self-assured and more confident. And there's the first time for everything, and sometimes the first time is a little cringeworthy, but you stay at it and you'll get better. Just like we do the analogy of when you learn to ride a bike. We all had the skin knees, or in my case, the skin chin. But you kept getting back up on that bike, and soon you're going all over the neighborhood. And I love
Exactly.
that story. I love that story, and how you, because that's so true. It's not just how you impacted and influenced your son, so for his perspective, and that he could feel. safe, and also confident, and everything's going to be okay, and then doing that for your clients. I mean, that sounds like a hidden success factor that you deliver. Do you want to expand on that?
Well, I've always been, like I said, I've always been a yes. So what I teach my clients is to say yes. And people are not even aware how many times they say no. It's kind of like going into a restaurant and the waiter comes over with the menu and says, "What would you like?" And you look up at the waiter and say, "Don't serve me pancakes. And by the way, I don't like eggs either. So please don't serve me eggs and I don't want any bacon." That's you're laughing because it's absurd, right? And yet how many times do you hear people talking about what they don't want? Like
Yeah.
anybody cares about that. That's the last thing you want walking out of your mouth, what you don't want. You lead with what you want and you speak it as though it's a done deal. And then you stand in the actions that it takes to get there. If you focus on that, you will produce every time. It's like the law of attraction on steroids.
Yes. Well, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And, just from my background, I will say, this sounds really a weird tangent, but um, that master's in military history comes in handy every so often. Is that it's really like when you have that positivity, like you believe that you're going to carry the day. Um, honestly, it's just your whole way that you do things is so much more powerful. So
Yeah.
that was a very weird segue. Sorry about that. And
I don't think
but
so. I think it connected the dots. In my opinion, the way that you do things has everything to do with the results. If you come at things from yes, the results will be yes.
yeah,
If you come at things from no, then the results will be no. That's just how life works.
yeah. No, I absolutely believe in the power of positivity and making sure that we frame our day that way. That's why every day when I get up, the first thing I say is, there are so many things I get to do today. And I do that all the
Wow, that's
time when I
great.
start to feel overwhelmed, or like there's so many things I have to do, or that my list is so long. I immediately correct myself because there's negative Nellies in your head, and those negative thoughts are predominant. And I consciously, attack my unconscious to say, no, I get to do this. This is my privilege and my honor that I get to do this. This is my choice. I have the power to choose. And it reframes and re energizes everything when you do that. So, I mean, that's the trick that I use. But it is very important to recognize that, because I think that's a factor that is typically a blind spot about how many negative thoughts that we have, and how many things can really be run by the fears that we may not have even recognized that are inside of us. What do you think about that, Pam, and how do you
Well, I think that
help
that
people?
that's brilliant that you do that because it's one of the things that I encourage my clients to do. I call it yes energy, what you described, because we can't help it. As human beings, we're designed with a yin and a yang. So no matter how much you try to live inside the positive side, negative thoughts will pop up, but you're
Yeah,
not stuck with them. So when you have a thought and you do this thing, no, I get to, you're doing exactly what I teach my clients to do. I call it countermanding the negative energy with positive energy because you can't stop. You're in a car and you're driving mind your own business. Somebody cuts you off, right? And for some of us, the first thing that comes to your mind is, you want to like, you want to go get him, like, go speed racer and go after him, right? Because you're mad. It's like, why you do me like that? I was minding my business. And it just comes, you can't help it. But then you get that that's negative energy, that's anger, that's upset, sometimes hate, and it's like counteract that with something positive. Well, at least I'm alive, no accident, bye bye. If you do that, you can disperse the negative energy because what I teach my clients and what you demonstrated in what you just said is that it helps you to ground yourself inside the positive energy, like what I call the energy resonance. It's kind of like that comedy film where they bring down the cone of silence and then supposedly only the two people are talking and they can but everybody can hear it. That's the energy resonance that when you're with other people, it's like that cone of silence. Even though it's just the two of you, everybody's aware of it. And there's some people that can actually see the energy between you and another human being. So you know
Yeah.
how it is when you meet someone and they just rub you the wrong way. That's just their energy not resonating with yours. You can disperse that energy and not let it impact your day by just whoosh,
Yeah.
doing and saying like you said. Hey, this is all good. Everybody, the world needs all kind of people to roll. I'm good. I'm good. Whatever you need to do to counteract and dispel that negative energy, that action propels you towards your dreams because you are focused and you have clarity about what you want, and none of that can get in the way if you don't let it. See,
Yeah.
I'm a Buddhist. I practice Buddhism, and there's a Buddhist concept called the monkey mind, which I also teach my clients. Buddhism says that your mind is like 100 monkeys drunk, bouncing around inside that little skull. Just
Yeah.
and that, you can't live your life inside of the decisions they make
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. It sounds like my day.
all day long. So you got to like create a context where you are generating past the monkey mind. The monkey mind is almost like insane. It tells you, "Oh no, you'll never get there. Why are you even bothering?" And that's one of the drunk monkeys telling to, go home and sleep it off while you generate what you want. And it does take something because sometimes your monkey mind sounds logical. It
Yeah.
sounds, like it's the truth. But if it's not inside what you're committed to, it's just a drunk monkey having a ball messing with your mind. Leave it
Yeah.
alone. Leave it alone.
Wow.
I tell people your mind is a dangerous neighborhood to go in by yourself. You need a bodyguard. I So don't go in there alone. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. And I'm glad you brought that up because it's one of the things I teach people who are dealing with limiting beliefs and their own self-sabotage is I teach them to circumvent those negative thoughts with positive reinforcement. You can't help it. There's nobody on the planet, or I don't care, Mother Teresa, I don't care, that doesn't have negative thoughts.
Yeah.
They come up. It's
Yeah.
part of the yin and yang of
Yeah,
life.
it's part of us, of our makeup. I mean, think
Yeah,
about it back in the when we were in the caves and sticks and stones, and although these days sometimes you think some people have gone back there, but anyway,
yeah.
you
Never left.
literally, it's like there were so many things that could kill you, whether it was a saber-toothed tiger or
Yeah.
you know somebody who wanted that rock you had. So
Yes, exactly.
that negative thoughts are actually a form of survival, and that's why they're so
Absolutely.
predominant. And but and that's why I do label them negative Nelly and negative Ned, depend, on wherever you want to associate that. But it's that opportunity to really look at them, because sometimes is this my survival instinct? Is this for a reason? you know or is this just that, that the naysayer that I need to,
Mhm.
um, you know, address with, either, to your point, that yes, and potentially the intentional gratitude. I love that analogy that you did. That, oh well, I'm grateful that the person who cut me off didn't hit my car, that there was no accident. I'm grateful.
Like looking for the appreciation because I say that gratitude attracts miracles. When you demonstrate to the universe that you're grateful for the gifts, it gives you more, wouldn't you? You give somebody a gift and they're like, "Oh, thank you." You're like, "Oh, I like giving this person gifts. Let me give them some more." So that whole concept of counteracting negative energy with appreciation and gratitude will buy you pretty much anything you want. So that's what I teach my business clients, and mostly because a lot of times, they say that behind every powerful man is a powerful woman because women are
Yeah,
influencers. They're
yeah,
influencers. How they go is how the household goes.
yeah,
So if they wake up in a bad mood and start barking at everybody, that people from their household go to their respective locations in that same frame of mind. Because the woman is the one that sources and empowers and disempowers. And
yeah,
many times they don't even understand that they're in their business disempowering themselves.
yeah.
So that's one of the things that I teach them is how to focus, have clarity, have goals, and take it on. And then when they're clear, the universe is clear what they want and delivers it.
Yeah. So if you could give, our listeners one essential action that they could take right now or today, this afternoon, this evening, whenever they're listening to this, first thing in the morning with their coffee, um, to overcome this negativity or the what we've been talking about and say yes, what would you ask them to do?
I'd say that start every morning in a quiet space and think, you know, whatever you consider to be your higher power, whether it's God, whether it's the universe, whether it's Buddha, just thank them and express gratitude for what you have, and then make a very definitive list of what you want. And I teach my clients say this out loud. What I want is, and then fill in the blank and do that every day, and then call me up when you see the incredible shift in your life because it will happen. I give you my word. Prove me wrong. Do that every day for 30 days. Just wake up, express appreciation and gratitude for what you have, and then say, what I want is, and a list of everything you want over the next 30 days. And then come back and share with me what happened. And I promise you, you'll be astonished at what you manifested when you take that
Oh,
on.
that's wonderful, Pam. Thank you so much. What a perfect way to close. And I want to thank you so much for sharing how to say yes to life and take a step towards a thriving business. And I know that our audience is going to want to know more about you and where they can find you.
Well, they can go to my website. My website is yescoach4you.com. So that's yes coach, which is what I am, the number four, and the letter u.com. Yescoach4you.com. When you go to my website, there's a free ebook called Transform Your Money Mindset, which you can download and read. And then you'll find out some other tips and hints I have to how to manage your money from a positive mindset versus, you know, paycheck to paycheck, which I invite you to take on as well. Just go to my website, yescoach4you.com. And on my social media, I'm Pam Heath, the Yes Coach, on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm Pam Heath, the Yes Coach. It is trademark. Nobody else can call themselves the Yes Coach. When you Google the Yes Coach, it's me.
All right. That's wonderful. And we'll be sure to include all those links down below so that you're one click away. And I want to thank everyone who tuned in today. This has been an incredible episode. And for you who are listening, if you have any ideas that you'd like to share, you can leave us a comment down below. We do love hearing your thoughts. And if you have a question or would like to suggest a topic for discussion, you can email us at jointheconversation@petitetoqueen.com. And of course, to stay current on all of our insightful advice, our breakthrough advantages, and incredible episodes like the one with Pam today, you can sign up for our weekly wisdoms newsletter at petitetoqueen.com. And I want to thank everyone who tuned in. And if you want to get more of Pam, depending on when you're listening to this, she and I are both going to be speakers at the Women's Prosperity Alliance Summit that's coming up at the end of March 2022. And it is going to be an incredible event. I hope you can join us. But depending, like I said, when you tune in and listen to this, if not, you can find us where you find wherever you like to roam on your social and your let your fingers do the walking in Google. So Pam, thank you again so much for being on the show. This has just been tremendous.
Awesome. It was entirely my pleasure. I'd love to come back another time.
Okay, let's do that for sure.